Sakvasu Mandalapati Shani Sada Tuchava Bhutpadina Ganeshaku Karunaya Kopina Kanhasita Gopi Bhavara Samritabdalahari Gopi Bhavara Samritabdalahari Kallo Lamarnam Mahan Bande Rupa Sanatana Raghujugal Sriji Bhago Palaka Devi Kecha He Nandasuna Kuta He Radhe Devi ke chalalite He Nanda Shunakutah Shri Govardhana Padapatale Kalindi Vane Taha Radhe Braj Devi ke chalalite He Nanda Shunakutah Shri Govardhana Padapatale Karindi Mani Pitah Gosantabiti Gosantabiti Sarvato Prajapure Khedai Divalau
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Hare Krishna, sure, can hear you, but
Yes,
Hare Krishna, we can hear you, but there's echo.
Now? Now it's okay?
Much
Yes.
better.
Yes.
No echo, huh? Okay. Okay. Hare Krishna to everyone. Good evening. So here we are, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, who taught us by his perfect example how to serve Krishna with love and devotion. We are able to also be inspired to learn and practice it. So we offer our gratitude, our respect to our most beloved Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prasharine Nirvishesha Sunavari Pashata Deshatarine. Even though we had such a tight schedule of writing and commenting upon the most important scriptures, Srila Prabhupada took the time to write the summary of the Nectar of Devotion. It's a summary of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, a very important work compiled by Srila Rupa Goswami. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yana Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam. Srila Rupa Goswami was the leader of the 6 Goswamis that we consider as our eternal Shiksha Gurus. Panchakalpa Tarubhyacha Kripa Sindhubhyayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. They wrote so many books on this science of devotion by following the instructions given to them personally by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is actually the original teacher of the science of loving devotion. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, is Radha and Krishna himself. Is a combination of Radha and Krishna, the highest manifestation of love of God. So Krishna wanted to experience, to taste this loving devotion of Srimati Radharani, and he wanted to distribute it to everyone, to the most fortunate souls of this very special Kali Yuga. Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we sing one of the stanzas, one of the prayers to the 6 Goswamis. Nana Shastra Vicharane Kanipuno Sadharma Samstapako Lokanam Hitakarino Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanyakaro Radha Krishna Pada Ravinda Bhajana Nandena Mataliko Pande Rupa Sanatano Rabuyugo Sri Jiva Gopalako Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyugo Sri Jiva Gopalako. Can read the translation of this beautiful prayer that Srila Prabhupada used to sing very often and before any lecture on the Nectar of Devotion. We offer our respectful obeisance unto the 6 Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizing and studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus they are honored all over the 3 worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Shri Radha and Krishna. So This is what we want to achieve by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, the Guru Parampara, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We have given this opportunity to achieve the highest goal of life, Prema Bhakti, pure loving devotion service. So in order to attain this pure love of Krishna, we have to practice perfectly pure devotional service. It's interesting because the process and the goal are the same. We practice pure devotional service to attain pure devotional service. So, but in order to practice perfectly this process of pure devotional service, we have to know very clearly what means pure devotional service and what is not pure devotional service. So very important. So we keep reading the main verse defining pure devotional service because it's extremely important to us. Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktir utama. So this is what pure devotion is an activity intended to please Krishna without ulterior motive and not covered by philosophical or fruitive pursuits. Please memorize, keep it in your hearts, because it's extremely important. This is the key verse of the whole Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the most important verse, because it defines what is pure devotional service. So it's an activity. It's an activity that we perform with our senses, with our mind, with our words. Yes, it's an activity by following the guidance of our gurus and previous acharyas. But it's an activity that is meant to please Krishna, is intended to please Krishna. I mean, it has to be favorable for Krishna. This is what pure devotional service is. And the secondary characteristics that support the first characteristics is that it should be without any ulterior motive. Means we don't perform devotional service for any personal motive. It's only to please Krishna. And when we say pleasing Krishna, includes pleasing Guru, pleasing Srila Prabhupada, pleasing the Vaishnavas, pleasing the Holy Dham, serving the Holy Dham. This is what means pleasing Krishna, and not covered by philosophical and fruitive pursuits. Means it should be without any ulterior motive. Also, means it's an activity that we do only for Krishna. So this definition of Srila Rupa Goswami, the definition of pure devotional service given by Srila Rupa Goswami, is perfect and complete. There is no mistake. We cannot mistake pure devotional service for anything else by understanding this definition. That's why I request you, please memorize it, and remember all the time, because at every given moment you are performing devotional service or should be practicing devotional service. So it helps us to focus on what we should be doing. Then we began studying the characteristics. Characteristic means the essential qualities, the elements that are there in pure devotional service. What are you going to gain by practicing pure devotional service? What will be the benefits that we acquire by practicing pure devotional service? And it describes 6 characteristics in performance of pure devotional service. It's so wonderful, so wonderful. And the first one is something that we consider very important: relief from material distress. Yes, this world is full of so much distress, so much pain, so much suffering. Not only it removes distress, but it removes all the causes that create distress in our lives. It's so wonderful, so powerful. We saw that suffering, why we suffer. Anyone remembers? Let's see the participants. Kishori Radha, why do we suffer?
Because we
What
forget.
is the
Because
what is the direct cause of our suffering?
ignorance. We forget.
What is the direct cause of our suffering? Not the original cause, the direct cause. Why do we suffer? Why you suffer?
Material desires.
And why you, and that's also remote. What is the direct cause of your suffering? Madhuri Radha.
Sinful act.
Sinful act,
activity.
yes. Sinful activity, yes, because we do wrong, we suffer. That's always because of that. That's the direct cause of our suffering. And why? Why we perform sinful activities? Madhuguranga, why we perform sinful activities? What's the reason we perform sinful activities? Why? Why? Back to Oliver. Can you answer? Back to Oliver. Why we perform sinful activities? Kamala Radhika, why we perform sinful activities? Why?
Because we wanted to be happy separately from Krishna.
Because it means that we have what kind of desires?
Material desires.
Desires, yes, material desires. Because we have material desires, we do sinful activities and we suffer. And the original cause, let's guess. What's the original cause of all our suffering? Ignorance, yes, ignorance is the original cause. That's the problem. So devotional service is so powerful that all this go away. All this. Because ignorance is removed. And ignorance means, Dr. Rodell, what means ignorance? You are very muted. Rajahamsa Prabhu, what is this ignorance you're talking about?
Lack of knowledge, Prabhu.
Lack of knowledge, yes.
And
Yeah, usually ignorance means we don't have knowledge. But what kind of knowledge? How to ride a motorbike? How to build a house?
knowledge, Prabhu. Krishna
Which
consciousness.
Yeah, no, okay, more precise, more precise. Kamala Radhika, you want to say? More precise.
Spiritual knowledge, Prabhu.
Yes, spiritual knowledge. Yes, I am Brahman. Yeah, it's good. I am Brahman. Okay. Madhuguranga, more precise answer. What kind of knowledge we're talking about here? What type of knowledge we have forgotten?
Hare Krishna. May I say?
Yes, Madhuri. Okay, Madhuri Radha, go.
Forget our real position is the servant of the
Yeah.
Lord.
Yes, forget our constitutional position as loving servants of the Lord. This is what ignorance means. And any other knowledge is just different forms of ignorance. This is the real knowledge that we have forgotten. And because of that, we have developed material desires. We have engaged in many wrong activities. And here we are suffering. Being in this material world is a result of our ignorance. So we hope that now by studying and putting into application this nectar of devotion, this science of loving devotion, we are going to finish with this suffering. And that's what Rupa Goswami is promising. Once our suffering is removed, then our lives become very, very auspicious. This is the second benefit, the second characteristic of pure devotional service, subhada, attainment of auspiciousness. and is auspicious. Pure devotional service is auspicious because suffering is gone. So as suffering decreases, our auspiciousness increases. The more suffering goes away, the more auspicious become our lives, the more happy we become. So auspicious, in order to be auspicious, means it benefits everyone. Yes, everyone. And when you say everyone, you really say everyone. Even the souls in the lower species of life can be benefited by pure devotional service. We saw in the story of Haridas Thakur how we are saying that chanting the holy names loud is better because you can benefit other living entities, even those living entities whose consciousness is very low, like the animals, the insects, the plants, and attract everyone. It's true, because it's no different from Krishna. It attracts everyone. Everyone is attracted to devotions. When people understand the benefit of devotional service and how wonderful is devotional service, they become very attracted. And here we are attracted. We are attracted. As we are attracted, everyone can be attracted. We just have to present it in a nice way to others so they can also become attracted like we are. And pure devotional service produce good qualities. Yes, because we lose interest in material life. So our material bad qualities go away and we develop very good spiritual qualities. And most important, what we all hanker for, is that it bestows superior happiness. So pure devotional service emits this all four criteria: benefit everyone, attract everyone, produce good qualities, and bestow superior happiness. It's so wonderful. No other practice can make this claim. Only the happiness of devotional service is eternal. Any other form of happiness is temporary, even liberation, mystic perfection, what to speak of sense gratification, cannot give us eternal happiness. No, cannot. And not only that, if you are thinking, oh, if I get the happiness of devotional service, what about the happiness I had by eating ice cream, by doing this? All happiness, we experience all happiness. It's all included in pure devotional service. It's all. When we have the highest, the lowest is also included. So everything is included in pure devotional service. Like you have 1,000 pesos, now means 500 is included, 100 is included, 10 is included, because we have 1,000. So when you have the happiness of devotional service, any other form of happiness is already included. So devotional service gives us superior happiness because it includes and excels, means it's even higher than the pleasure found in other form of happiness. Now you may wonder why I am still suffering, and I have been practicing Krishna devotional service for quite some time. Why I'm still suffering? Well, you have to be patient, my dear devotees. This manifests at the stage of Nishtha in our practice. I'll give you a chart so you can understand what means this position, this level of Nishtha. These are the different levels of devotional service. The first one is Shraddha. It's a preliminary phase, an interest, that what brought us to Krishna consciousness. We had an interest. We found it interesting. We had some little faith, we were captivated. Then it led us to start associating with devotees, sadhu sangha. And in association of devotees, we learn more and more about pure devotional service. Was not like that? We all remember it was like that. And then we start practicing devotional service very seriously, bhajana kriya, so seriously that many of us decided even to take initiation. to make it really a serious commitment. So this was an incredible improvement in our lives. But then the real work start beginning. That's anartha nivriti, removal of offenses and unwanted things in the heart, particular offenses, but mostly it means anything, anything against devotional service. Our material desires, our misunderstandings, our anything, any dirty thing in our heart start being removed, because pure devotional service, the power of pure devotional service start purifying our heart. It's like when we broom a room, the dust starts coming out, and then eventually it becomes very clean. But that dust sometimes is very overwhelming, huh? Right? Especially if we're going to clean a room that has not been cleaned for a long time, and we start brooming, and you see all the dust goes into the hair. You say, wow, I didn't know it was so dirty. So our hearts are like that. So much pollution, so much dirtiness, so much things we have accumulated throughout many lives that have been accumulating. So it creates really a big trouble in our hearts, and we have to remove that. That can take time. Most of us are in this stage, anartha nivriti, the path of eliminating this useless, not just useless, but bad things, unwanted things in our hearts, particular offenses, yes. And then, yes, when most of those anarthas, those bad, unwanted things are removed from the heart, then we come to the stage of nishta. That's at that stage when you become really free from suffering and all the causes of suffering. So you see, it's still in the stage of practice, because sadhana bhakti, practice of devotional service, goes until the level of asakti. After nishta, you see, there is ruchi. We develop really a taste for practicing devotional service, really, and then you become very attached to it, attached to Krishna. At this level, it's still sadhana bhakti. It's spontaneous devotion already, but it's practice, it's devotion in practice. Then you come the stage of bhava bhakti, and eventually we come to prema bhakti. So from the stage of nishta, and when you develop taste for devotional service, real taste, profound taste, that I give you just an example, like we are chanting the holy names. We are chanting the holy names, and the event, after some time you notice, oh, I finished my rounds. Oh, I want to chant more. I still have time. I'm going to chant more. That is a symptom of taste. But now, at our level, what we start counting the last ones, only one round left. Wow, great. And when it's finished, finished. Now I can do any damn thing I want. Usually it's like that. We want to have it done. So it's not because taste is not yet there. Okay, but we're doing bhajana kriya. We're follow the regulations of devotional service is what we call the stage of kanishta adhikari. We are practicing, we are trying to be serious in our practice. And we do at least our duties, we follow what we promised to do. But no, not yet taste. Sometimes little taste. It's not that all these stages is cut clear one after another. Sometimes overlaps. Sometimes you may feel a taste even at a lower level. A little taste is there. But in general, we do because it has to be done, because we promised to do, right? So this main problem here is the most difficult that we have to overcome is anartha nivriti. This is what really most difficult level. They say sometimes, the Acharya said, it's like crossing an ocean of faults, an ocean of misgivings and offenses that we accumulate in our hearts throughout many lives by being separated from Krishna. So we saw these are three categories of devotional service. Sadhana, practice, and bhavya. We come to a stage, we start to experience the first ecstatic symptoms of love. And then prema, when you become really situated in a loving relationship with Krishna. So in each category of devotional service display two very special characteristics. Like in sadhana, we saw kleshagni means removal of suffering and the causes of suffering, and subhada, the beginning of auspiciousness in our lives. This comes at the stage of sadhana. When you come to the stage of bhava, these two will be there naturally, and you develop two further ones, moksha, laguta, kriti, and sudurlabha. We're going to see them, review them, because you already covered them last time. Moksha, laguta, kriti means that the happiness of devotional service is so high that we look down on the bliss of liberation. It looks insignificant. Right now, because we are in a stage of practice, if liberation would be offered to us, we'll be very happy to be free from all this material existence. Oh, we'll feel so happy. Of course, most of us would think, oh, but then I cannot attain my loving relationship with Krishna. No, but we will think many times before accepting the happiness of liberation. Because, it's already such a high achievement that most spiritualists in this world, they are interested in this liberation, moksha. But when we are in a platform of pure devotion, so that the stage of bhava means a just preliminary stage before pure love and pure loving devotion. At this stage, that happiness looks down on the happiness of liberation. And the other characteristic that develops at the stage of bhava is sudurlabha. Is very rarely achieved. Like climbing the Everest mountain is very rarely achieved, really. It's not that any climber can achieve that feat. It's really very rarely achieved. So achieve the stage of pure devotion service is very rarely achieved. And we see, we are not many, We are not many. When you are in a temple, even a kirtan, when everybody comes in, is fun. We count, we say, compare with the people outside, even in the closest town. We are just a few. We are very rare. In the world, we are very rare because it's very rarely achieved, pure loving devotional service. It's a very special mercy. And why is very rarely achieved? Why is very rarely achieved? Because we cannot obtain by our own efforts. Any other form of self-realization, you can do by your own efforts, like attaining liberation. Of course, they also need Krishna's mercy, or attaining the mystic yoga powers. But it's a lot on your own effort. Certainly the mercy is there, but mostly is your own effort. But pure devotional service, you cannot attain by our own efforts. Even if you practice carefully for 1,000 of years, you cannot attain it. Because pure devotional service is, we can only get if Krishna gives it. You can obtain it only if Krishna gives us. It's a gift. Through his devotees, certainly. Through his devotees. Sometimes he himself gives directly, but rarely. Usually his devotees are the recipients to distribute, his representatives to distribute bhakti. So any of you, any of us can be the giver of bhakti to somebody else, because we represent the pure devotee Srila Prabhupada. So it was his desire, and desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that we go and give Krishna to everyone, give the holy name to everyone. So naturally, we are on behalf of our Srila Prabhupada, previous acharyas, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we can also, we are empowered to give Krishna consciousness, Krishna to others. So, but he has to be given by the order of Krishna. And Krishna is very, very reluctant to give it. That makes it very difficult. Is very reluctant to give pure devotional service. Yes, other forms of devotional service mixed with other interests. Yes, it does. It's easier to obtain. But pure devotional service, that pure devotional service that can come to the level of pure love for Krishna, is very reluctant to give. Why? Because that loving devotion has the power to control him. And we're going to see why exactly. Why Krishna doesn't want to control by his devotees. Krishna accepted to be controlled by Arjuna in a battlefield. He became his chariot driver. Whatever Arjuna told him, drive this way, Krishna drove. Drive that way, Krishna drove. He was like a menial servant, a driver. A driver is not a fighter. He's a servant, he's a driver. So he was serving. That's the power of pure devotional service. It controls Krishna. So these are the categories that we found in Bhava. So happiness is superior to the happiness even in liberation, and is very rarely achieved. Very rarely achieved. Now, at the stage of prema, Kleshagni will be there, Subhada will be there, Moksha Lagutake, Sudurlabha will be there. But the new one, Sandranandra Visheshatma, and the other one, the last characteristic, Shri Krishna Kashini. So you're going to see these ones. So, Sandrananda Visheshatma means the happiness of pure devotional service at this stage, at the stage of prema, pure love for Krishna. The happiness is condensed, highly condensed bliss. Highly condensed bliss is so densely concentrated that nothing else can penetrate it. Like a thick armor of iron, nothing can penetrate it. It's even thicker. It's so concentrated nectar, so concentrated happiness. No other means we have no perception or thought of any other form of happiness. That's the bliss of Prema Bhakti. Completely eclipses, overshadows the happiness that we can desire by other means. Completely. If the happiness of liberation would be multiplied by 1 trillion times, it could not compare with a little fraction of the happiness that we can experience in a stage of Prema Bhakti. So it shows that the bliss of pure devotional service in its highest stage of Prema, the perfection, it's immeasurable. That bliss cannot be compared with anything in this world. So you saw that it's the third time that Srila Rupa Goswami is discussing happiness as a characteristic of pure devotional service. 3 degrees of happiness. Let's see the 3 degrees. The first one was Shubhada, means is the happiness that you found in sadhana bhakti, because we are free from miseries and the cause of misery. So our lives are auspicious, we are happy. happy devotees, because the weight, that burden of sin, bad karma, everything is removed. We are totally fixed in our devotional service. Our faith is steady. That is already superior, was already superior to sense gratification and even liberation. And then at the stage of bhava, we saw moksha lugata kriti, that happiness, it makes sense gratification and liberation look totally insignificant. Totally means we don't care, we don't care. It's so superior, so superior. And then, as we saw now, this Sandrananda Visheshatma, the happiness that is found in Prema Bhakti, is so immeasurable superior, is so much superior, that we cannot even perceive the existence of any other form of happiness like liberation or sense gratification. We cannot even perceive it because it's so concentrated, it's so powerful, so overwhelming. So we can see that the whole process of pure devotional service is about happiness. Happiness, more happiness, the topmost happiness. In the material world, in material existence, there is only temporary relief of suffering. That's what we call happiness. Sometimes we don't suffer much and we feel relief and we say, oh, I feel so happy, just because we are not suffering. That is not really happiness. Happiness is when the causes of suffering and all suffering is really removed from the heart permanently. And this is at the beginning, in a stage of practice. Yes, certainly a very advanced practice, but in a stage of practice. In the stage of bhava, is so much higher that even the happiness of liberation looks insignificant. And in the stage of prema, so much bliss. We don't call it happiness, we call it bliss, condensed bliss. Condensed bliss, so high, so high. So let's see, it's just all about happiness, more and more happiness. So wonderful, so wonderful. That's why it's very attractive. Pure devotional service is very attractive. And the last characteristic of pure devotional service in a stage of prema bhakti, it's that it only means to attract Krishna. It's the only means to attract this. That's why you saw in bhava that Krishna is reluctant to give it, because it controls him, attracts him, controls him. Krishna is the most attractive person, he's the supreme controller, but he becomes attracted and becomes controlled by pure devotional service. We all know in this material world, we are controlled by our attachments, right? We are all controlled by our attachments. And we become attached. We become attached to those things that give us pleasure naturally. Whatever gives us pleasure, we become attached to it. And then we become controlled by those attachments. So because of material pleasure, seeking pleasure in this world, we become attached to wrong activities, because be happy, experience pleasure is our nature. We have the same nature as Krishna. We look for pleasure. But in a material world, we are controlled by this. We become attached to this material happiness and we become controlled. But Krishna, a person with self-satisfied, or say we call them Mahatma, self-satisfied, he can remain totally detached. And because he's totally detached, he's independent. So he's not controlled by his attachments, because he's detached from material happiness. He's self-satisfied, means the happiness is coming from within, has nothing to do with it, external things. This is the position of Atmarama, a soul that experiences self, the real self-spiritual happiness, Atmarama, happiness within the heart. It has nothing to do with externals, the happiness of love of Krishna. So the Lord is self-satisfied. He's self-satisfied. He's independent. He's not attached. So how can you say that pure devotional service control and attract Krishna if he's Atmarama, self-satisfied? It seems a contradiction. How can he become attracted and controlled by pure loving service if he is self-satisfied? Because devotional service is Krishna's own pleasure potency. It's Krishna's his own self. Srimati Radharani is Krishna's own self. It's his internal potency. And so he enjoys, is attracted, and is controlled by his internal potency because it's the potency of love. Krishna is controlled by love, and love is his own pleasure potency, comes from his own inside. So he remains self-satisfied because this pleasure potency of the Lord is his own self-potency. It's not external. It just manifests from his own heart. That is Srimati Radharani. So he's totally attached and controlled by Srimati Radharani because the essence of his pleasure potency, Srimati Radharani, is prema, is love of Krishna. So that's why a person who has prema can attract, control Krishna. Yeah. No other process of self-realization has this potency. Krishna said to the Uddhava, this is the proof of how great is this process of pure devotional service. It can attract even the Supreme Personality of Godhead because it's his own eternal, internal bliss potency, Srimati Radharani. So we saw two levels of control, 2 degrees of control. Let's go back to the chart with all the characteristics. 2 characteristics in sadhana, bhava, 4 characteristics, and prema, the 6 characteristics are there. So when Srila Rupa Goswami described the third characteristic, Sudurlabha, he mentioned that the Lord is controlled by the love of his devotee at this stage. Actually, the fourth characteristic. So the Lord is controlled by his devotee. That's why Sudurlabha is very rarely to be achieved. He doesn't want to give because he becomes controlled by his devotees. But at the stage of prema, the Lord is really controlled by the love of his devotee. So both stages, stage of bhava and the stage of prema, we can understand that the devotee's love controls the Lord in both stages. In both stages, the Lord is controlled by the devotee's love. So powerful is devotional life, pure devotional service. Conquer the heart of Krishna. So Krishna can only be conquered by love. So at the stage of bhava, Krishna gives his love to the devotee. So means the devotee begins to attract Krishna. Here you see Bilva Mangala Thakur. He was blind. He blinded himself purposely to not be attracted to the objects of sense gratification anymore that creates gave him so much trouble in his life. So he spent more than 500 years. He lived until 700 years. Like 600 years he spent in Vrindavan. And there's a place there where he used to stay. And he used to compose very beautiful bhajans, very, very beautiful bhajans. And he used to sing them himself with his veena and his kind of kartals. And he would sing so beautifully that Krishna would appear next to him to hear his singing. And even though he could not see with his eyes, he would experience the presence of Krishna. So he was attracting the Lord by his loving devotion. But then what's the difference between here and prema is that in prema, the devotee really enters in the Lord's loving pastimes and controls and attracts the Lord in a personal and very active loving relationship. Here we really enter into the Lord in our loving relationship with the Lord. So the devotee can attract and control Krishna. Like you see, the boys are playing with Krishna, pretending to give him prasadam, but he's going to put a flower in Krishna's mouth. Close your eyes, you're going to give you a rasagula. And then they put a flower on his mouth. So they can do these things with the Supreme Personality of Godhead because of their love. Krishna is attracted and controlled by their love. And he plays jokes with them because is their loving friends. It's controlled by Mother Yashoda, He accepts to be punished by her. It's amazing. It's amazing the potency of love. So this is what we expect at the stage of prema. Don't feel disappointed. Say, oh, I'm so far from that. Yeah, we may be far from that right now. It's possible. Yeah, and we are, certainly. But the distance can be overcome very easily if you really take shelter of the process of pure devotional service. And we follow really the guidance, the sadhana given by Srila Prabhupada. If you follow very carefully the process of sadhana, we can very quickly come to this stage. Very quickly. And we should. We should try our best to do that in this lifetime. Don't postpone it. Yes, you may not be able. Maybe not. Maybe you will not achieve perfection in this lifetime, but we should at least endeavor for that. If you start thinking, oh no, I'm not qualified, I'm not going to attain. No, not in this lifetime. Next lifetime, maybe. And the next lifetime, you're going to say the same thing, or not this lifetime, maybe the next. And when? So we have to take a decision. No, I'm going to practice and I want to attain. By the mercy of Krishna, by the mercy of Guru and Srila Prabhupada, I want to attain pure loving devotional service. I'm going to endeavor to attain pure loving devotional service in this lifetime. If for some reason I cannot attain, well, next life. But we should endeavor in that direction. Srila Prabhupada said, don't stay in this material world. Go back to Krishna. And guess what? We don't even need to attain 100% perfection. Srila Prabhupada, he gave us a special deal with us, with his followers. If we at least achieve 70% of perfection in our practice of loving devotional service, Srila Prabhupada will make up for the 30%. Guarantee 30% for us. Can we imagine? Already Srila Prabhupada made a discount on a number of rounds we have to chant every day. Okay, he said at least 16 rounds, means we can chant more than 16 rounds and should chant more than 16 rounds. But he put a limit of 16 rounds that the previous acharyas have not been given. At least 64, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta would demand At least 64. Can you imagine? Oof. Srila Prabhupada is seeing our fallen conditions. Okay, at least 16. So he's already making negotiation with Krishna. And then he said 70%, at least 70% of perfection. And then he makes up for the 30% left for us. He guarantees that because Srila Prabhupada has that potency, being an eternal associate of Krishna. So we stop here for tonight. And if you have any question, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Rupa Goswami ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. So if you have any question or any comment or any reflection, that's the time. Don't be shy. Make it very clear, the understanding, because it's very important. So the characteristic was just for us to note the elements, the things that are there in pure devotional service that you are meant to attain if you practice properly. It's wonderful. It's an impetus to encourage us to really dedicate our lives to this, to perform pure devotional service to the Lord. It's a really, really, really an inspiration. It's so wonderful. This is all Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire, that we all attain pure loving service. So we have to endeavor in this direction. Okay, I don't hear anyone. I can almost hear a mosquito flying around. Oh, such a deafening silence. Oh, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Ashu.
Yes, here we are.
I don't know if it's okay to ask, not something about our topic right now, but for the future, something that we could maybe like look forward in the next sessions. Is it okay that we can read ahead, from this chapter, or something that maybe we need to prepare again?
We are on the first chapter, right?
Yes.
Yes, start reading the second chapter.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna begin second chapter. Yes, I say how we become, how we begin pure devotional service. Yes, start reading second chapter, and we're gonna review some of the points of this chapter because are very important. Now we're gonna get into a more. This is just an appetizer. An appetizer to the process, to increase our interest in the process. Then we're gonna analyze more sadhana bhakti in the next stages, in the next chapters. Sadhana bhakti, what means, how you practice, why you should practice, what are the benefits. So please can preview second chapter.
Thank you, Ashu.
Haribo. So it was not so much, it was more kind of knowing what is ahead of us if we practice pure devotional service. So it's kind of something to really captivate our hearts, to really think seriously. There's so many wonderful benefits awaiting for us. Why should you live a miserable life in this material world? Really, when there's so much to gain by engaging in pure devotional service. So that's why it's wonderful. It's wonderful that we can get so much. It's wonderful to know all these characteristics, all these things that we are going to gain gradually as we advance in Krishna consciousness, in devotional service. So please remember these things. Don't just keep don't just be there watching and hearing, but think about and take notes. Since you have the images can help you to understand the points we discussed. So take it seriously, because it's a serious thing if you really want to be free from this miserable material life, and not only that, to attain the most blissful life. So we should really try to learn and take advantage of this, and at the same time appreciate what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us through Srila Rupa Goswami, and most directly to us through Srila Prabhupada in his books. Srila Prabhupada elaborates so much in his purpose, in his commentaries and his lectures. He elaborates so much on his process of pure loving service. And he himself was a pure example of pure devotional service. So we have so much wonderful benefits in understanding and practicing pure loving service. And it's also a motivation to also give to others, because you want everybody to be happy. We are not selfish. We want to partake with others. So it's an opportunity to learn and to distribute to others.
Hare Krishna.
Make them understand. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Thank you
yes,
for the
Rajaram.
class tonight. I just have one question regarding what you've mentioned a while ago, that attaining Krishna pure bhakti is not that it's very rare, because the result of it is one can control Krishna. And there are examples also in the Bhagavatam that Krishna is being controlled by the devotees. And of course, this is not our main goal is to control Krishna, but is this situation attainable to us? Very new in this Krishna consciousness. Just we are born into not a family of devotees, or very few years, few months. How attainable is this, and how far are we?
Well, Srila Prabhupada said, we can be very far, but we can be very near at the same time. He said, to become Krishna consciousness can be in a moment. In a moment time, we could become Krishna conscious. It all depends how much we are going to invest ourselves in the process. So how much we really, it's like having a great wealth available to us, but we have to dig, and we have to dig in the ground to find the wealth. So how much we are going to endeavor to dig deep to find it, it's a question of how much we want. The problem is that we became so attached, and we remain so attached to material sense gratification that we are afraid of losing this little opportunity to experience some enjoyment. But we have to accept, we have to understand that it's futile. This attempt to be happy in material existence is not going to happen, because material existence is not meant to give us happiness. Yes, we can have some exciting moments when we don't suffer, but that's all. That's not happiness. And even in the beginning of practice of devotional service, in the very beginning, if the devotees are sincerely applying the process as it is, they can experience already a great deal of happiness. And yes, Krishna becomes attracted to his devotees. And Srila Prabhupada said, as we give one step towards Krishna, Krishna gives 10 steps towards us. He's so much eager to see us back to him in our loving relationship with him. He's so eager. If he would be a little eager as he is, then it would be in a moment. Rajahamsa, what do you think? Rajahamsa, you turn your microphone. Okay, now you're off. So yes, Depends how much eagerness we have. And that eagerness can come in association of those devotees who are very eager, are very dedicated, have a very good determination in practicing well the process. That's how we get inspired, by studying the life of our acharyas, like Srila Prabhupada. When we hear when we read his biography, my goodness, such a level of dedication to Guru and Krishna. It's amazing. Look at miracle Srila Prabhupada made, incredible. All by the mercy of Krishna, by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. So the process is available to all of us. It's just how we're going to apply it, how we're going to take it very seriously here. Krishna, if we become seriously, Krishna will become attracted to us, start becoming attracted to us. Yes. And Krishna, yes, he wants to be controlled by the love of his devotees. He relished that. He relished that. Okay, we leave you there, unless there is any other question or comment. So please read ahead, second chapter. Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gaura ki jai, Shri Rupa Goswami ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari, Hari, Hari Bo.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Krishna.